On this edition of Locked On Astros, we break down an epic pitching matchup, one for the ages. Hunter Brown battled Jacob deGrom. Hunter Brown just gave up one solo shot in a heartbreaking 1-0 loss. Make sure you tune in and stay here with us because we're going to talk about every pitch, every moment, and what we need to focus on moving forward. How do we get this team out of the ups and downs of the offensive woes on this edition of Locked On Astros?
Yainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me on X at Eric Talk Astros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, we're going to find you and your striped shirt at.
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Astros 411, where I'm always positive, always Astros back to the bullpen. Look, you know where to find me. What a game tonight for baseball fans. But if you were donning the orange and blue and you were rooting for the Astros, it didn't end the way you wanted it to.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us. Make us your first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So, Brett, we all thought that this was going to be a pitcher's duel. And sometimes when you have ace versus ace, it doesn't really live up to the bill. You pay for this certain matchup, and one of the pitchers gives up 5 runs, and you're like, well, maybe this wasn't what we thought it was. But this was what you thought it was. It was you had Hunter Brown with a perfect game until the 5th inning, until I believe it was Adolis Garcia got a double to lead off the inning.
Yeah.
And then you had deGrom just like cruising through the Astros lineup. He gave up a hit earlier in the game, but for the most part, he had total control. Both pitchers limited their pitch count. They both went into the 8th inning. And unfortunately, like you said in the intro, it was a solo home run that Hunter Brown gave up that kind of was the difference in this game. And sometimes I know we've been criticizing the offense a lot, but this was a matchup of 2 great pitchers. And yes, we want to say, well, we wish the offense would do better. But in this case, Brett, let's take a break from the offense, the bashing and everything. Let's appreciate how good Hunter Brown was.
Well, right. You 9 strikeouts, goes into the 8th inning, records outs in the 8th inning for the first time this year. I think the Royals, he had 9 strikeouts on, I forget the third team. He had 9 strikeouts. An epic performance from Hunter Brown. I would bear to say, though, Jake Burger, the pitch before that Hunter Brown threw him was called a ball. It was a ball, but the problem I had with the call by the umpire was those balls were being called strikes when Jacob deGrom was throwing them off the plate. Jacob deGrom threw a ball under the zone to get Jeremy Pena in his first at bat. Jacob deGrom had 3 or 4 strikeouts on pitches that were outside of the zone. Now, right. I think if Hunter Brown gets that called strike, I think he throws that ball a little further off the left side of the plate. I do think he missed on the pitch to Jake Burger, but I think he was trying to bring the ball in a little bit on the edge of the plate so that he could get Jake to swing and miss. And when he made a mistake on that pitch, even though Jake Burger was recently demoted to AAA and then brought back up, that's what big leaguers do. You punish mistakes. If you put it in the zone and you put the bat on it squarely, that's what happens. But Hunter Brown looked good. Hunter Brown never got unraveled. He never got freaked out. The Adolis Garcia double. The Rangers had 3 hits tonight. They didn't have 5 hits like the Astros. Adolis Garcia had the hardest hit ball. Jock Peterson had the 3rd hardest hit ball. It was a line out. Jake Burger's single was harder than his home run. And so I mean, I look back on when I saw Greg Maddux throw against Roger Clemens in Minute Maid Park. Dusty Baker was the coach of the Cubs, okay? Aramis Ramirez was the third baseman. And I just remember certain aspects of that game. That was the first time in Major League history, back then with the Astros, that 2 300-game winners were pitching against each other. That was a pitcher's duel, but you're right. Your comment is spot on. A lot of times the pitcher's duel, it doesn't always pan out the way it's supposed to on paper. But Eric, that razor thin margin you've been talking about, I need you to stop talking about that because that is coming more and more true. Remember how you said the pitchers have to limit their mistakes because the offense isn't giving them anything? Well, they gave them a big fat nothing. But here in a second, I'm going to talk about, though, why it wasn't as bad as it looked. And I know people are going to accuse me of being a homer. People are going to accuse me of being too positive. But it wasn't a terrible hitting game. It was terrible overall offensively.
Yeah, and when you have a pitcher like deGrom throwing 99.2, 99.1, 98.9, and he had pinpoint command, he did what deGrom does. And when he is healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. And this was the first time the Astros have ever faced deGrom. This is kind of weird because he's been pitching for so long, and you would think that the Astros would have faced him at some point, especially when he moved over to the Texas Rangers, but they haven't because he hasn't been healthy, and the Astros don't play the Mets a lot when he pitched for the Mets.
Right.
So this was the first time they've seen him, and he did good. You would think that there would be a lot of swing and misses, but in this game, it was only 15 swing and misses from deGrom, and Hunter Brown only had 11. What these guys did, they went out there and they painted the corners. They pitched to contact. You saw deGrom, especially in the 8th inning, a lot of lazy pop-ups, nothing happening. The offense just couldn't get anything going. deGrom kept them guessing, and you can't get a consistent offense. Yes, you had some guys get some hits, but you can't build those rallies when the opposing pitcher is just dealing like he was.
Right. No, right. And I agree with you, but you've got the Isak Paredes fly out, which would have been a home run, I believe, in 7 or 8 ballparks. It's neither here nor there. It's in this ballpark. It didn't go over. This kind of makes me want to go into the expected numbers thing and go, I don't care what the expected batting average of those hits were. They got caught. Adolis Garcia's glove tonight was fire. The dude was a defensive mastermind out there, Eric. And if it wasn't for the defense of the Rangers, Jacob deGrom gives up 3 or 4 runs. Because of the hard hit balls, you have almost every one of these is a Houston Astro. Victor Caratini, Jake Myers, Altuve, Walker, DeCenzo, Caratini, Dubon all hit 100 plus off the bat, exit velocity. But at the end of the day, I don't care what their expected batting average is. I don't care how hard they hit the ball. You've got to get the job done. You've got to bring the runs home. And they had 2 or 3 opportunities where they had a guy on second, and they were getting hits and guys on second base. The first 3 guys that reached second base were all there when there were 2 outs. So you were hoping for that 2-out magic. Jacob deGrom just bared down and just boom. He just did his job. And, Eric, this is a game I think you should have won. And then tomorrow night, we've got the uncertainty of what is Lance McCullers Jr. going to bring. He's pitching tomorrow night. And I'm like, tomorrow night, I really hope he's on his A game. And I really hope we're able to hit the Ranger pitching, because tomorrow night could be another stressful night watching the Astros. Hopefully they win. Hopefully they get the second one, because they've got 4 in Arlington, Eric. They got 4 in Arlington. But you know what? Respect to the Rangers. Their gloves were working. Can we talk about Christian Walker needing to go 6th or 7th in the lineup? The dude's terrible right now. He's abysmal.
Well, he was going through a little hot streak, but he is getting a little cold right now. So some positive notes is that Brown was 1 strikeout away from reaching 10, which is he keeps on kind of approaching but never reaches. And he also got a complete game in this game because he didn't have to pitch the ninth inning. He wasn't going to pitch the ninth inning unless even if the Astros came back to win. But he went out there as just one flat cutter to a burger that was what unraveled everything. But guys, thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe to us, make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you're listening to podcasts, go and check us out.
There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of that ballpark food. And if you're looking to go to a game last minute, Game Time Tickets makes it easier than ever before. The last minute deals, all-in-one pricing, and lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. I've told you I've used them before. Ticket prices drop as Game Time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On. And for the upcoming series versus the Cincinnati Reds, you can get your needs met by unbeatable prices, by the Game Time Picks feature, top discounts, and you know that I love the seat preview. You'll love it too. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go ahead, subscribe to us. We're like about 150 away from 14,000. So go ahead and help us out, get to that little threshold. And we appreciate that. And go and make this first listen on your way to work. I drove up to North Houston, to Conroe area the other day and got stuck in traffic. I listened to one of the podcasts. It's definitely something that I would encourage y'all when you get stuck in traffic, just go and do that. But this game was a little bit frustrating. This was one of those, the ones where you're like, why can't you just score a run? And you think that you said it so not, why can't you score a run? Why can't you just do it? Come on. But the problem is the hitters that have success against deGrom are left-handed hitters, and the Astros don't have left-handed hitters in the lineup. And I know Dana Brown was kind of asked about it on a radio program. I forgot, I don't know which one it was, but he said that that they're kind of looking at left-handed hitters, but they're not going like a hard press against after like going and make a trade for one, but they are looking at left-handed hitters because especially when Alvarez comes back, we'll go ahead and talk about that in a second. But this is too right-handed a lineup, and you have, just think about it, last year, you have Alvarez, you had Tucker, and these are two powerful left-handers. Sometimes you had Singleton in the lineup. He could offer occasional power, but you just don't have that this year. And it's just, you have the right-handed guys, and you could pitch around the right-handers.
Eric, it's so hard to watch Christian Walker right now. After his second at bat, the ball that he hit, I was like, okay. He hit the second ball harder than the first ball, and I was like, third at bat, I was trying to push him over the line, just get him off the starting blocks. I'm like, okay, Chris Walker's going to hit a home run. He hit the first ball soft. Second ball, he contacted, hit it pretty hard. Didn't go out. And I was like, okay, he's gonna hit a home run. Nope. Popped it up. The dude is under everything. It's annoying. It's so bad right now with certain guys. And, I wanted to come on here and talk about Jeremy Pena again. And when I saw that first at bat, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those nights, and like you mentioned with Yordan being out, there are no left-handers. There's not a difficult game plan to throw together for the Houston Astros. Now, typically, Walker and Paredes, they handle left-handers pretty decently in their career. And that's one of the reasons why they were willing to bring them over, knowing they were losing a left-hander in Kyle Tucker. So they kind of have these, reverse splits or whatever you call. But dude, I just don't like. I'm sorry, guys. I know everybody keeps saying Singleton this and Singleton that. Okay, whatever. Singleton's a quadruple A player. Singleton did have some key contributions with the Astros, but nobody saw this coming. Is first base cursed? I don't know.
No.
But Eric, I'm starting to wonder if it is. I mean,
is this the curse of the pineapple?
That's what people are saying. Curse of La Pina. Maybe he's taking his wrath out on us because he still wants to be in an Astros uniform. So tell us what Dana Brown said.
Well, this is more of this is what I was looking for earlier, but he said, I wouldn't say we're pounding the table for one, but we've had some discussions about one. This is about trading for a left-handed hitter. And I know we talked about yesterday that Todd Callis
Nolan Arenado. Anybody?
Is he left-handed?
Oh no, he's right-handed. Dang it!
That's what I thought.
He's just not in the Nationals uniform and is making really good contact. I'm sorry. I'm turning everybody into a left-handed hitter. Go ahead. My bad. All
right. So I know yesterday we talked about what Todd Callis said about the Hayden Wesneski. I said it right today. But right now, the Astros say that they're in a holding pattern with him. They're going to see. Dana Brown said that they're going to wait for 36 hours to see where he's at, and then they're going to kind of figure out what to do from there.
That's a day and a half.
Yeah.
So is he going to have a test and more? Is he going to have an X-ray and I
think they're going to wait to see how it feels. Maybe he did some agility test or something with the elbow, and they're probably just going to see how it feels, how it bounces back. Maybe he stretched or threw or something, but they're just in a holding pattern right now before they make their decision. And I know that Chandler Rome and a couple other people have said that Hayden Wesneski, nothing's been confirmed. He's not out for a season, but until we get any,
I'm surprised.
Anytime you hear something about the elbow, Brett, it gets you worried.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised Todd Callis said it. And Todd Callis is ultimate professional, so I don't think he's going to go out there and just willy-nilly make something up, which he didn't. Yeah. Someone told him that had knowledge of it, and basically, and I'm pretty sure Todd's like, "Is that something I can say on the air?" Okay, put it in his notes. I'm always impressed when I listen to commentators, but dude, are we going to get Alvarez back soon?
Well, according to Espada, he said he's really close. He had one of his best days today. So almost in the near future, you can see Yordan Alvarez back in the lineup because he's close.
The Astros love, just say he's not ready. Just say he's not ready. Don't quit giving us that. Well, he's almost like today's batting.
He's 75% ready.
Was 25%, 28.6% better than the day before. Quit peeing on my leg and telling me it's rain. I mean, just say he's not ready. Stop with this playing coy, and the messaging of the Astros has got to be one of the more infuriating things. It's not as bad as Dusty Baker quoting HIPAA. Well, yeah. HIPAA. What? Who's like HIPAA? You mean hippo? HIPAA? Hungry hippo? What are you talking about? But in all seriousness, you want Yordan Alvarez 100% healthy, and they have to see how his hand reacts if it's a pulled or strained muscle in his hand. But gosh dang it, can we change bats? Can this guy get a different bat? Because he has hand issues almost every season now, Eric.
Yeah. Well, I know that one of the reasons why they're waiting is he's mostly taken batting practice in the batting cages. He hasn't gone and taken batting practice on the field yet. And so he's expected to do that tomorrow, Friday, on May 16th, for those of y'all listening. But this should be his first time that he's on the field. And so Dana Brown said once he does that, I think we'll have a better feel. The good thing is that he's getting better. So Espada said that he takes on-field batting practice when healthy, but we'd like for him to at least hit off the machine. So if he chooses to do that on the field, it'll be great. If not, hopefully in the cage. So he's already eligible to be reinstated So the question is, does he go on IL stint, rehab stint, or does he just come right back to the lineup? And it all depends on how he feels and how ready he is to see live pitching, because that they were not going to put him in the lineup against Jacob deGrom the first day back from the IL. So we'll see what happens. He's had a terrible season so far, 210, 306, 340 slash line with 3 home runs. But like I said, maybe a rest will help him, and maybe he'll come back a changed player. So, guys, we'll go and continue this conversation next. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances like Tyrese Halliburton's clutch three-pointer or Draymond Green's incessant complaining every time the ref blows a whistle and doesn't call him for a tech. But it doesn't matter because there's player props on winning shots, on breakout players, and so much more. Same-game parlays, performance trends, player props, from tip-off to the very end, you are covered, and you can win big. Why wouldn't you want to win $200 on your first $5 bet if that wins? I know I would. I love FanDuel. It's easy to use. It's there for the biggest moments. So right now, new to FanDuel, that is perfect because you can sign up. Head there right now, FanDuel.com, and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us, make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. So Brett, I know that you said first base is probably cursed, and the Astros they got Yuli Gurriel to kind of be the first baseman for a while there.
That's a little bit being tongue in cheek. I'm not.
No. It has nothing to do with the curse. So, so the Astros had a first baseman, but back in 2013, the Astros did not really have a first baseman, but they had this kid named Jose Altuve. And according to Dayton Moore, he was the Royals GM. He's currently with the Rangers right now, but he actually said that Jeff Luhnow approached him for a possible trade back in 2013.
I heard about that.
Guess who was involved? Jose Altuve and Eric Hosmer.
And that was before Altuve had done anything. So, right. I mean, now it looks like a ridiculous thing. Eric Hosmer actually just found this out. He didn't know that. So it's always interesting to hear how things almost went down or what goes on behind closed door. It would be great to have someone spying on these things and just leak them, kind of like WikiLeaks. You know, it would be hilarious to hear the stuff. There was a the Boston Red Sox had a documentary that's out about them from last season, and a couple of the Red Sox are talking about, bro, they just released Jose Abreu in Houston. They're like, well, he got his money. He's getting $30 million, so I guess it's not that bad. And they're literally talking about how this dude's still getting paid, or 26 or 16, whatever he's getting paid. I'm just saying, like, they were like, well, he got his money. And, you know, it's wild to think that. And since we're speaking about trades, we got people here in the comments saying we should trade Yordan. Well, Yordan's not getting traded. He's getting $26 million the next 3 years. No one's trading for that contract. And especially right now with the injuries that he's kind of been dealing with here and there, we've priced him out of the market. He will not be a free agent until he's 31. He will be here for the next 3.5 years, 3 years. And then his 4th year, he'll be a free agent. So, Yordan, I think, comes back around. Yordan, I think, when he gets back in the lineup, gets back in the groove, hits a few home runs, gets that taste in his mouth again, I think he fixes himself. The question is, who else is going to follow Jeremy Pena, and who else is going to follow Isaac Paredes, who, for the most part, all this month have been phenomenal. Even Jake Myers has been great in May. So you've got a few bats that are hitting. You just don't have it on a consistent basis.
All right, circling back to that trade.
Yeah.
Eric Hosmer, when he actually heard about that, because he was on the podcast with
Right.
Dane Moore, he was like, wait, was that a real trade? And Moore said, yeah, that was for real. And he said, you're an idiot to not do that trade because you know what Jose Altuve became.
Can
And
you
then,
imagine him not be? I can't imagine him. I look around and with all my paraphernalia, all
they're
the
mostly Altuve's bobbleheads.
Altuve bobbleheads, walk-off bobbleheads, Altuve hit
Yeah.
bobbleheads. I mean, he's become the GOAT, the face of this franchise. And so, that was wild when I heard that. Almost as wild was when you heard about Bryce Harper would have been here had it not been for the Nationals president nixing the deal at the last minute.
Yeah, I heard about that kind of before everybody. It was just kind of floating around, and it was actually a pretty fair package, and everything was agreed to, but the owner just got cold feet at the last second. There's been several trades that have been kind of called off at the last minute just because of that reason. Because sometimes you don't want to trade your Shohei Ohtani's, you don't want to trade your Bryce Harper's because it's a bad look. It's a bad look for the organization. Not too many teams do what the Astros did this offseason and trade their superstar in Kyle Tucker. And yes, right now it looks bad on paper because how good Kyle Tucker has been doing. Yes, he's in a little bit of a slump right now, but you have all these pieces to the puzzle. Yes, Wisniewski has a little bit of injury. Yes, Cam Smith isn't doing exactly what you would think right now. Isaac Paredes, he's when he's playing at Dyken Park, he's going to hit a lot of home runs. But this trade will pay off over time. You weren't going to re-sign Kyle Tucker. You hear about the Dodgers trying to get into that Kyle Tucker talk. And that's mostly they don't have the money because they're paying everybody else. But they're going to get in the battle just to try to make it interesting and keep everybody up to speed and just make sure that people aren't getting Kyle Tucker for cheap. But the Astros are in a situation where they have a lot of people that are making money and they have to rely on some youthful players. Is something that they have to do in the past, but not to this big a scale. And we've heard about Dan Brown said, he said this today about Wisniewski. I thought he was throwing the ball well, of course, before the injury.
All
That's
right.
why he can never have enough pitching. And that's why I've been saying all offseason, I don't care who you have. You've got to go out there. You've got to get another depth piece for the rotation because the Astros have 3 guys that you can count on right now. When Arrieta gets back, you can count on somebody else. But right now, it's kind of unknowns past the top 3.
Yeah, it is. Well, not necessarily. Oh, you mean top 3 in like pitching or
pitching? Yeah.
Okay, pitching. Yeah, you're right. I was trying to think. Yeah, we don't have Arrieta back. Ronell's become the workhorse. And yeah, after that, you're right. You don't know what you're gonna get. So pitching depth is a problem right now. The bullpen has been carrying its weight. Josh Hader's been next to perfect all year. I mean, heck, your number 1 guy tonight lowered his ERA and lost. So at the end of the day, it comes back to the offense. It comes back to the hitting. It comes back to if your pitchers put up 0s or 1s, you got to put up 2s and 3s. You don't have to hit 20 home runs in 4 games. You just got to score 2 or 3 runs, get a crooked run on there, let your pitching throw up the 1 or the 0 or even the 2, and you're going to win more games than not. This offense is just it's just going to be like that until they go on a run, Eric, until they really hit a groove, until everybody starts becoming like a Jeremy Pena and Mauricio Dubon in the lineup back to back together. But they tried that tonight and it just didn't work. Tonight's game was more of a result, I think, of 2 great pitchers dueling each other one making a slight mistake and the other one being next to perfect. And that's what happens in baseball. It just happens to be in 2025, the game after they won before they left town, in the season where they win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. So it makes it a little bit less desirable as a fan to be like, oh, shucks, we lost that one. Let's go get the other one, right? But that's what 2025 is. And until it changes, don't go throwing any TVs out of your apartment, okay, or out of your house. I had someone on Twitter tell me they're going to throw their TV if they lost the game tonight. I'm like, it's not that serious.
Well, actually, this is old school baseball. This is what you used to see in old days, and you have to appreciate what you don't see much anymore. You don't see two pitchers go 8 innings. You don't see the limited offense like you saw tonight. And I know you wanted to win this game as Astros fans, but you still have a shot. You're only 1.5 games behind the Mariners. It's not like the Mariners are killing right now. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games. The Rangers are 7-3. Their pitching has really picked up. Their offense has picked up a little bit. So it's going to be a wishy-washy AL West. So the Astros are
talking about pitching and talking about injuries. The Mariners are dealing with Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller, and Logan Gilbert all in the IL. So we're not the only ones that have some limited or thinness in our starting rotation. And the Mariners are going to come back to earth at some point. I'm not concerned about them. I'm more concerned about the Astros offense being consistent than I am the Mariners actually winning the West.
Yeah. The Astros still have a plus 20 run differential. The Rangers have a plus 1. The Mariners have a plus 11. I think everything's going to end up where it should be, but it's going to be ugly until then. It's going to, like, Alvarez is going to be the one that's going to lead the comeback, the resurrection, whatever you want to call it, of the season, where, like we saw last year, Memorial Day is typically when the Astros really put their butts in gear and really play good baseball. And until then, we just got to tread water and hope that we can stay around 500.
Yeah.
And once you could do that, then that's the Astros, I think, will be fine. It's not pretty. We're not trying to sugarcoat anything. The offense is not good, but hopefully with time, things will work out, and maybe they'll experiment with the batting order.
And just like Mr. Chris Reyes, one of our viewers, says, I just remembered tomorrow is Apple TV. Blah. One thing I will give Apple TV is it's aesthetically pleasing. The graphics are phenomenal. It is a clean picture. They've gotten better on the commentary. They've gotten better on the personalities. But yeah, the cool thing though, remember, you can click the little radio icon if you have Apple TV, and you can listen to Sparks and Ford on the radio that goes right in line with the show. So you don't have to listen to the Apple people if you don't want to.
And there's plenty of good shows, but Friends and Neighbors is a really good show if you want to go and watch that. But guys, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Go and make us your first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you're listening to podcasts. Go and check us out, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Go Stros. You do that on purpose.